Let's just plow through. There's a bunch of Viking stuff here. Daniel Sanchez says, the loss to the Cowboys means jack squat to me. I remember we got thumped by the Seahawks in 2015 at home, and then, trigger warning, had them on the ropes in the playoffs. Yeah, they got smoked. Wasn't that the game that Cordero Patterson scored a touchdown to cut it to like 35-7, and he Deion Sanders high-stepped his way into the end zone?
Yes, I think it was.
Cordero Patterson, greatest kick returner in NFL history. Cordero Patterson will be a Hall of Famer. Write it down. I'm going to say it for tomorrow. Dude, he is the greatest kick returner.
He is.
If Devin Hester's in, right?
I don't know if Devin Hester is in. I genuinely don't know.
Didn't Devin Hester get in?
Look on Devin Hester. That's a good question.
Hold on. Pretty sure he just got in. He doesn't make the ballot. Oh, he doesn't make the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. Okay, so he's an option.
Now, Cordero Patterson has the most kickoff returns for touchdowns. Is that right?
Yes, 9. He has 9.
That's right, because he got the 9th on Sunday against the Bears. Okay.
He also has 3 against the Bears with 3 different teams. Anyhow, Daniel's comment continued here. This team needed to get humbled if they're going to succeed, and I am glad they got it handed to them. The last time they got beat, they shelled out 7 straight wins. Do you buy into getting humbled that, hey, at some point you just had to get your ass spanked in the middle of the season to kind of reset and, okay, recommit, figure out what's going wrong, and push forward? Or was this just, are we just trying to justify a terrible loss and rationalize it somehow?
I think losing by this much is not really constructive. Like, it'd be one thing if you had lost by 10 or something, right? But I mean, you got just absolutely hammered at home. But this is why I think Thursday's game becomes so intriguing, right? Like, this whole thing depends on one thing. How do you handle this and process this? And so I don't think that we know yet, but I don't think losing at home by 37, like, I can't torture that into, yeah, that's exactly what needed to happen. Humble to me would have been like, I don't know, 14 points, not 37 points. So I am curious to see how they bounce back.
So you're kind of saying that there's a certain way that you could have lost by 14 points and it would have been an ass kicking, and it would have made you feel a little bit better because, hey,
this is more embarrassing.
Yeah, like the Eagles loss, you got your ass kicked, but you could also sit there and say, boy, if you could just like tighten up these 3 things, It actually might have been a win.
Yes.
There's not really a way to look at that game against the Cowboys and say, boy, if like Irv Smith hadn't dropped like we did that with the Eagles game, if Irv Smith would have caught that pass, and if Jefferson runs the right route, you literally have to start with just every play in the trenches, like the 70 plays they got beat in the trenches, and go from there.
I don't think when your defensive and offensive line get their collective ass whooped all day, that is a great starting point of, but look, I mean, you just got embarrassed.
Yeah. And Declan played off the top of the show, off the top of the Randy and Cottage Grove Dud Stable. You got national shows like Le Batard that are just literally just mocking and making fun of 4:25 Eastern time Kirk Cousins. What kind of a team that's a legit contender gets beat like that at home? And they're just laughing.
You got to bring back Kirk O'Chains. If the next road win, if they win again on the road, which I'm confident that they will with their opponents, we need Kirk O'Chains on the plane.
I think he needs to show up at home. I think if you beat, I'm only kind of kidding here.
I'm fine with that.
If they beat the Patriots in any shape or form whatsoever, like in a fourth quarter comeback, I think it doesn't make sense if it's like, I don't know. If you beat them 21-10 and Dalvin Cook was the star, then I don't think Kirk O'Chains needs to come out. But if they have a fourth quarter comeback at home on Thanksgiving, I want to see Kirk O'Chains shirt off, 2 turkey legs, 1 in each hand.
50-yard line. Post game. Stay for the post game when Chains will address the crowd.
Chains
comes out. 50-yard line.
Matt Lachinsky says, an ugly loss. As ugly as this loss was, I think the Vikings will be fine. If you ask nearly every Viking fan at the beginning of the season what they thought our record would be after 11 weeks, most probably would have had it worse than 8-2, including me. And that is something to you get caught up in the season and the week to week and what happened most recently. But if you would have sat here when we were doing our preseason predictions, back in August and said, "Hey guys, they're actually going to be 8-2." You don't know what it's going to look like. You don't know that they're going to be the only 8-2 team in NFL history with a negative point differential. But even if I would have told you, "Hey, they're going to be 8-2 with for sure one ass kicking, like historical ass kicking, and the other loss was pretty ugly too, and they're going to get outscored by their opponents through 10 games," would you still take the 8-2? All of us would have taken the 8-2.
Yes.
And then go from there.
I have all 4 of, or 5. We did this 5 times. I've had this in the studio of all of our the schedules that I did, at least. And through 10 games, the best start I can find is 6-3. Outside of that, I said 5-5. I said 6-4. I said 5-5. Yeah, 6-3 was the only time. That was actually the first time we picked it. That
I said they'd be 6-3 only adds up to 9.
Not 6-2. I'm sorry. 7-3. 7-3.
Okay.
7-3. That was the best one that I had. But outside of that, like I had 5-5s in there too. Like, yeah, I would definitely 100% take 8-2, and no one saw that coming.
Yeah. Let's see here. Terrence White. In my opinion, this loss was good for us in a way that the media will have written us as so-called frauds and expect us to disappear into the ether as we are accustomed to. Well, that's another silver lining as we try to rationalize this, right? That now they can just kind of go back. All right, the Vikings popped up on everyone's radar. They beat the Bills. Oh, now they're the number 1 team in the power rankings or number 2 or whatever it is.
Right.
And this loss people just kind of chuckle at them now. And okay, let's pat the Vikings on the top of the head and just kind of send them back toward the fringe of the top 10 in the power rankings. And maybe there's something to be said about that. Now you just go to work, and that loss might also have prevented a game on December 4th from getting flexed. Aren't we going to find that out today if the December 4th game gets flexed against the Jets?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
That loss might have scared off NBC.
I certainly don't think it will. I believe the game that they would flex away from is Cowboys and the Colts?
Yes.
I got to think you're going to leave the Cowboys, right?
At this point, yes.
Why touch the Cowboys?
If the Vikings had won, I think,
sure.
Let's say the Vikings had won and the Jets had won over the Patriots, then I think you're looking at, okay, that's a New York audience. That's a 9-1 team. Rack them up for Sunday Night Football. But now
that Jets game could be Kirk O'Chains against the elite Joe Flacco too.
You think they're gonna
Zach Wilson
pull the trigger on a benching there?
Yeah, their coach said yesterday. He said on Sunday, "I'm not thinking about a change at quarterback with Zach." And yesterday said, "I am contemplating what we will do, and I will not." And they said, "Does that mean that you're committed to Zach or not committed to Zach starting on Sunday?" And he said, "No, I'm not."
It's one thing. You have 2 jobs generally as a quarterback: play really well and lead the team on the field, and then lead the team off the field in the things that you say as essentially the CEO of the 53-man roster.
Yep.
And he's terrible at both. So it doesn't it just every year it seems like there's a top 5 or top 10 pick or the number 1 pick or whoever. This league is built on quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
People get paid a ton of money to evaluate rosters and to study film and to get information on quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
How do we see Baker Mayfield and Zach Wilson level whiffs at the top of the draft so often? Isn't it crazy?
I think teams think that they are smarter than they are at judging personalities. Because if you sat down with Baker, he's competitive, but if you sat down with a kid like that and by the way, also did your behind the scenes vetting process, I gotta think there would be some red flags on a kid like Baker. I mean, Wilson sort of got that cockiness, but it's not a positive thing.
No, it's a weird abrasiveness. It creates separation from teammates.
Yes.
It's one thing if it's it's a cockiness on behalf of the team, which you could argue Baker had a little of that sometimes, but it wore thin. It's like, dude, you're playing terribly. Quit acting like you're okay. Just be humble and go to work and stuff. But to get up there and be asked after gaining 120 yards of offense for 3 hours, he completed 9 passes all day.
Yep.
And for a reporter to ask a hard but fair question, do you feel like you let the defense down? And for him to say no.
Well,
dude, even if you feel like you didn't, let's say you felt like other things were at fault or there's play calling issues or something, which you're at fault. But let's say you felt that way. Just take the bullet for the locker room chemistry. yes, I need to be better. I let my team down today. I will continue to grind, et cetera, et cetera.
And the question was, do you feel the offense let the defense down? So it wasn't that pointed. Like, it was an obviously yes. And so, yeah, for him not to just take that question and spin it to, yeah, I got to play better. I didn't play well. I'm struggling, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that abrasiveness in that market is a really bad idea.
Yeah. Yep. It's a really good idea, especially with holiday season approaching. Maybe you're looking for a stocking stuffer for your wife. I think spiral light candles might. I saw someone sent in their picture of a purple spiral light candle over the weekend. Always nice when people show us your wick.
I was going to say show us your candles, but I like that more. Show us your wick. There's 2 wicks because it's a spiral burn, and then in the bottom there is a long burning wick. So, I mean, this is ideal. And Phil is right, because you know what? The holidays are coming, and I'm going to tell you right now, Spiral Light candles are the perfect holiday gift. They're the perfect birthday gift. Spiral Light now, let me tell you guys about the Black Friday deals that are up at spirallightcandles.com. Go there, click on the banner for Black Friday deals. Dawn loves. I got one of these as a preview, okay? But it's out now. The new scented candle that smells like an old fashioned. An old fashioned.
Wow, dude. Wow.
It is fantastic. And now here there are mystery boxes, 50% off. $100 worth of candles for $50, or $200 worth of candles for $100. You don't know what you're going to get, but you're guaranteed to get one preview candle of a coming 2023 scent. So again, the old fashioned would be something. I believe there's going to be, if I'm not mistaken, a gin and tonic candle. Very, very cool.
Oh,
let's get it.
All right.
Other specific candles, 25% off until they are out of stock. All sales, including the old fashioned, are up now. You don't have to wait until Friday, because the Black Friday deals have started at spirallightcandles.com right now. Check them out. Again, a perfect gift, spirallightcandles.com. And these candles absolutely smell fantastic.
For business owners out there, so Federated's been around for over 100 years. Official partners of the Timberwolves. They've been ingrained in the Minnesota sports scene for a number of years as well. They've been helping us grow our business over the years. They're all about providing a guiding hand, risk management tools and resources that can help elevate your business to maximum heights. Find out more about the resources and the people that can help your business at federatedinsurance.com, or it's our business to protect yours. All right, our guy David Goldiger is back. He's back for some more therapy here, potentially. He says he sent this during the game on Sunday. I'm just going back. This poor guy. The game isn't even 10 minutes into it, and already I have to see your negative tweets and comments. I can't live my life every day in a negative mindset. I just can't. You guys are all smart and good dudes and fun to watch on YouTube, but I can't take the negativity all the time. I don't need that in my day-to-day life. Too much else needs my attention. You guys have a great week. I think what's happening here is, again, you're lashing out. The Vikings are playing poorly, and you are getting mad at your sports therapist again. Okay. The issue is between you and the Vikings, not you and your sports therapist.
You also are giving power to the people you're claiming you loathe. So, like, you are really upset at us, right? And you can't take us anymore, right? I can't do this. But then why are you continually coming to us and voicing those opinions if we really don't matter? If we really are such a negative person in your life, why are you giving it more power? You're just feeding the beast. It's not a good recipe for success.
He said the show's fun, though. He said we're good dudes.
Yeah, let it go, David. Let it go.
Let it go.
But the team let him
It's
down.
not your fault.
Like you are watching an in progress meltdown of a man who is watching his team meltdown in front of him.
Yeah, it's a difficult roller coaster to ride, but you have to.
You know what
keep
this
the
calls
emotions
for?
level.
A study of Vikings fans by us as therapists to find out what happens to the mind of a Vikings fan during the course of a 40-3 loss.
We should hook someone up to the little patches you put on your head, and yeah. Leo chimes in here via the Score North app. Feedback Friday on a Tuesday. Was it just me, or did the whole team just seem emotionally drained and had no fight in them? Here's how I see it. I'd rather have a big emotional loss come in the regular season It seems like KOC knows how to learn from mistakes. Let's see if he can have the team overcome the offensive line and win on Thursday. That's another silver lining here, is that the Vikings kind of learned the hard way back in 2019 when they were building this thing back up with Kirk. All right, go have the emotional win against the Saints, the second win against the Saints, where Kyle Rudolph and Adam Thielen caught those passes. And then you go on the road against a punch-you-in-the-mouth team, San Francisco, and they just and the same thing happened before Kirk in 2017 in the playoffs, right? Big emotional win, and they just couldn't get back for that Eagles game. So maybe having the big emotional win and then the letdown, maybe there is something to be learned here in the next couple months. I think this is a credible silver lining from Leo here.
They did seem completely drained. They did see. So the one thing I can't decide is this. There's no question that I think emotionally and physically they were drained, but they got their butts kicked up front on both lines so bad. I'm curious now because I can't put it all on the Bills game, right? Like, it definitely played a role. I think there's no question about it. But I have not seen a Vikings offensive and defensive line get their ass kicked this bad since that San Fran playoff game, and so that's what I'm curious about. Like, how much of that was just the Vikings might be a little bit soft up front.
A little SAWFT, soft up front.
Yes, sir.
James Diagati says, longtime listener, first time writing in. Thank you, James. First, you guys are awesome. I patiently wait every day for your shows and appreciate the time and effort you all put into the content that is discussed. Thank you again, James. I think I became a Vikings fan in 2008. Booth looked scared, but didn't play scared. Ingram, I don't even really know where to start with him. He's a starter and doesn't seem to be improving. I think it's on the coaching. I think there's too much coddling going on with some of these players. I mean, the coaching has led the Vikings to an 8-2 record that they probably shouldn't have based on point differential.
Yeah.
So, yes, there's definitely some things. Is the coaching staff doing a 100% amazing job? I mean, there's definitely some things here and there, but by and large, this team is probably not supposed to be 8-2.
Yeah.
And they are. And I have to give credit to coaching for the big picture of the season.
This is such a difficult discussion because it feels like if you have a guy like Zim, you love him at first, and then it's like he is way too tough on guys, right? So you bring in O'Connell, who clearly is way more positive, but then when something goes wrong, it's like, and we heard the same thing about Les Frazier how many times? Look at him on the sideline. He's on guys' faces. He's
no
not
emotion.
mad.
Yeah.
He never slams his hat down. It's like, that's such a difficult discussion. Like, unless it's just clear that the players are running over the coaching staff, I hesitate to go there. And I do think that at least for now, the positivity that O'Connell has brought to this team far outweighs he's not tough on guys. Far outweighs it.
I also think, too, I will say, like, the difference between, say, Mike Zimmer on one end, where he's just kind of a cantankerous sociopath, and then, because the guy didn't meet with Kirk Cousins for 4 years.
How do you feel about him, Phil?
He is cantankerous, and I think he's kind of a sociopath.
I like how you threw in the sociopath.
He doesn't like build human connection with some of these guys.
Yeah.
And then Leslie Frazier, who was so nice and would like barely, say a cross word about anyone. I feel like Kevin O'Connell kind of lives in the middle, where you look at these locker room clips too, and it's clear that these players love him. He acts like a player in the locker room, but he's got a fiery. He'll get on guys, right? He'll get into Kirk coming off the field.
Yes.
He'll get into officials. So I kind of feel like he has the best of. He's a player's coach, but he'll also light you up. And there's a stable of those types of guys in the league right now. Sean McVay being number one. Sean McVay, definitely a player's coach, but will light you up. He'll light up his coaches. I think John Harbaugh falls in that category. So, okay, should Booth be better? Maybe. I don't know. But, like, generally, coaching has lifted this team up in 2022.
Well, and Booth might just be, we don't know, but he might just be a bad draft pick, too. Like, he might not be good.
It'd be more on Kwesi, probably.
Yeah, I mean, he's a second-round pick you traded up for, and he could not really play. That's a problem. But, yeah, that to me is a scouting GM thing. But the last thing off how fiery should a coach be, and should he be in a guy's face? keep in mind too, we're dealing with a very different generation of people now.
Yes.
So I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I know what people are talking about and what they want. You know, a tough coach who's gonna. I don't know that unfortunately works these days. So like, if you did, you know, get in Booth's face and you told him you suck, son. I don't know that that's going to be like, oh, and now he's going to go out there and play tough. I think it's going to. I actually think it hurts guys now. So like, it's a very fine line to get into you know, old school tough coaches. I don't think those guys have a lot of shelf life left these days.
I will say, you boomers and Gen Xers out there, you thought millennials were soft, okay? You thought millennials needed positive affirmation and coddling.
Let me be very clear, and I had a nice discussion with a priest last night at the bar. That's right, I ran into a priest. It was great.
It sounds like the start of a joke.
It's not.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing, but it's not. This guy was great. But we were talking about, you know, kids and things, and I did say this. I said, my age group though takes the fall for the softness now because we're the parents. I'm not, but we are. And we're the ones who coddle kids and say you all deserve trophies. We try so hard to give kids now what we felt we didn't get, that we have it. But that's our fault. That's not your fault.
Yeah, you guys were all
It's our fault.
all you like late 70s, 80s babies. Now you want to act like you're all, we grew up hard. No, your parents grew up hard.
Right.
Yes.
But we also are. We're also trying to make up for what we perceived our parents didn't give us.
Yeah.
So, like, we want trophies for our kids. We want multiple classes because we want our kids to be.
We
a
just want to
champion.
feel something.
Despite the fact that when you win a lower class, nobody really cares. So yeah, but no, that's on us. I'm taking blame.
Paul Smith chimes in and says, I live in Scotland, followed the Vikings since the early 80s, and I love Purple Daily and Mackey and Judd. What's up, Paul? My thoughts on the Cowboys debacle is Cousins is a top 5 quarterback when he's protected by the offensive line. When he's not protected, he is a bottom 5 starting quarterback. Do you think Cousins needs to renegotiate his contract and free up cap space so Kwesi can recruit top-tier offensive linemen? I feel that's the only way we can get to the next level with Cousins. And I say this, Paul, not to disrespect your question, but this is a question that's literally being asked every year since 2019, probably, right?
Right.
It's
Sure.
well, when you give him protection, this is what he looks like. And then it's like, yeah, but how do we get him that protection? You're not going to bat 1,000 in the draft. You don't have enough money to spend on everything, edge rusher, cornerback, and offensive line, and a wide receiver over here.
Right.
And so now, in fairness to Kirk, what happened on Sunday, that type of pressure, I don't care if you're Patrick Mahomes. I said this, yesterday. No quarterback was overcoming a 60 to 65% pressure rate. No, I don't care who it is.
And up until that game, the line had played pretty well. So like, let's not pretend that it's been a season-long problem. This does lead me though to a great concern that I feel it's not going to be talked enough about before Thursday's game. The Christian Darrisaw, his concussion now, and if he's out for an extended period, and we know that he's not going to play against the Patriots team that gets to the quarterback a lot, it really concerns me. Like, just as far as, I'm curious about the bounce back, I'm curious about all of those things. But when you take out a guy who I think we could make a pretty good case has been an all-pro left tackle from Cousins, that really worries me.
Yeah, and not that many teams just have like a guy you can plug in as a backup left tackle and feel great about. But this team, it took them a number of years just to build up a starting lineup of offensive linemen that you felt okay about, let alone like the depth to replace an all-pro caliber guy. So I think it's going to be less on, okay, Blake Brandel, can you step up and be Christian Darrisaw? That's not realistic. Can you scheme up a quick-hitting offense the next couple weeks that, maybe you're taking fewer shots down the field than you were in the previous 3 weeks because you got to get that ball out. Or maybe you're just pounding the run to Dalvin Cook more often.
That's what you might have to do. Mm-hmm. Add a blocking tight end, someone who gets down and dirty and run the ball more too.
Yep. Hey, by the way, we asked you guys, our audience, late last week to raise $1,000 for the Schoonover Foundation. So we told you the story last week. Patrick Schoonover was a high school hockey player who died tragically on the ice after scoring a goal because of an unknown hidden heart condition. And that was 8 years ago last week. And so we asked you guys to raise $1,000 for the Schoonover Heart Foundation. You helped us raise almost $4,000
Awesome.
in the last week. So thank you. I believe the donation window is still open. It's givemn.org/score for Patrick. That's SKOR for Patrick. Givemn.org/score for Patrick. So, man, it feels like it's kind of amazing. And you guys, the audience, are just incredible. Anytime we ask you for something, whether it's something charitable or support our sponsors or show up to a bar to watch a Vikings game, whatever it may be, or just like show up and poke Judd at the corner of a bar at Park Tavern. People do. And so thank you all for just being awesome and supporting Score North, Mackey and Judd, and Purple Daily. That's all I have for you guys for Feedback Friday on a Tuesday here, because we're probably not going to do feedback on Friday as we react to the Vikings game. We will do some more feedback on Purple Daily and Vikings Vent Line right after Thanksgiving night. Take your nap early. Stay up late with us as we recap through Vikings Vent Line what could be a bounce back or could be the second step in a spiral, but we're here for you either way on the Purple Daily YouTube channel for Vikings Vent Line. We'll see you guys for Write That Down Wednesday on Mackey and Judd.